Because the ocean is so constant and unchanging, sometimes we can forget the enormity of the unexplored area below the crashing waves. For centuries, humans have attempted to dive below the surface in order to gain a greater understanding of what is hidden from sight, and these discoveries are often astonishing. While generally they consist of strange new species of fish or unbelievable natural formations, occasionally humans find things that have been lost by other humans under the sea, sometimes even for centuries. It is these discoveries, markers of once powerful civilizations that have since sunk below the waves and been forgotten under the sea, that are perhaps the most exciting. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will be looking at 3 underwater discoveries and what amazing things have been pulled from the depths of the sea. Ancient structures below Lake MacDonald. Imagine an underwater civilization lost to time and mystery. Did the city of Atlantis pop into your mind? At the heart of many books and movies lies this island, which was once home to a great naval power that disappeared below the surface, never to be seen again. Though the legitimacy of Atlantis may be a mystery forever, it certainly does not mean that there are no real-life lost ancient cultures in the ocean just like it. In fact, one such lost civilization may have just been rediscovered in the depths of Lake MacDonald in Ontario, Canada. On one fateful day, a group of divers decided to participate in a submarine project. By the time they reached a depth of 40 feet, they found a series of oddly shaped structures. At first glance, researchers hypothesized that they were a type of perched erratic, that a bunch of glaciers transported thousands of years ago at the end of the last ice age. However, upon closer observation, the divers noticed that the structures had far more detail worth looking into. That prompted several more scientists and geologists to conclude that the rock assembly was made up of 7 gigantic monoliths made by man and not by nature. But how exactly did these rocks get here? Is there a chance that they could have fallen on top of each other in a perfect structure by chance? To find the answers, the experts turned to maths and statistics. As predicted, the numbers only reported that even rocks forming such a structure were almost impossible. To have 7 rocks be situated in such a position was practically unthinkable. So, one thing was for certain, this was no work of Mother Nature. Knowing that, scientists decided to look for the next obvious signs of human involvement in possible tool use or other decorative images. They first found a layer of sediment, which indicated that no human had touched the rocks in quite a long time. So, when did the last humans touch these stones, and who were they? How did they manage to haul these giant objects and put them in such a position? For the many visitors who often visited the Halliburton Forest where the structure was located, they noted how aesthetically pleasing the rocks almost seemed to be. For them, it almost looked quite similar to an Arctic Inukshuk. To try to find more answers, researchers tried to draw upon the history of the land. Thousands of years ago, they discovered that the areas had suffered bouts of constant droughts. Because the land was very arid and dry, the waters of the Great Lakes were actually around 50 meters lower. That certainly happened to Lake MacDonald as well. In conclusion, biologists determined that the lake was home to ancient glacial relic lake trout that had survived multiple bouts of glaciation. It was not always a lake either. It turns out that it was actually part of an ancient river system that had funneled glacial meltwater south into the once existing Lake Agassiz for millennia. There is no doubt that many questions and mysteries still swirl around these unique underwater structures. However, we do know that ancient cultures are most likely more advanced than we give them credit for. Perhaps they might just point to evidence of an era in humankind's history that we have never yet discovered. Seahenge in Norfolk, England. You probably have heard about Stonehenge, but have you heard of Seahenge? Seahenge was discovered in 1998 on a quiet and forgotten North Norfolk home beach. It is a 4,000-year-old Bronze Age timber circle that caused a huge amount of controversy both locally and nationally when English Heritage agreed to fund the Norfolk Archaeological Unit to remove the timbers from the beach rather than leave them. Seahenge was dubbed by the media because of its close resemblance to Stonehenge in Wiltshire. It is a rather large tree stump buried upside down with its roots up. Surrounding the tree stump were 55 timber posts which had been cut from smaller oaks in the area. 4,000 years ago, this beach was a salt marsh and not a sandy beach. Some say that the upturned tree stump was set that way so that bodies could be laid on top and birds could pick away at the flesh and bones. Over time, the sea has encroached on what used to be the salt marsh, covering the beds which were naturally preserving the timbers. The exact purpose of this circle has never quite been determined. The controversy over the structure was maybe more notable than the discovery itself. Many locals were completely frustrated when it was decided to lift the timber circle from the beach because they felt they had not been part of the important historical find and didn't want it to end up being displayed somewhere popular like London. Some of the objectors, however, were not aware of the damage that the sea could cause to the timbers, which was actually one of the main reasons for removing it. People in favour and the Norfolk Wildlife Trust wanted to move the circle because it lay on the edge of the Dunes Nature Reserve, and they knew that the crowds of people visiting the site would cause great trouble to the wildlife and the surrounding land. The timbers did end up being excavated. It was a very time-consuming process because experts and researchers had to work within the restrictions of the tide levels. This allowed them 2 to 4 hours per day. Not to mention, many protesters had taken too frequently to disturbing the excavators' work. Now that the work is complete, you can go to the Lynn Museum in Norfolk, where they have the original upturned tree stump, some of the original timbers, and have crafted a life-sized timber semicircle Seahenge replica to give you an idea of the original size of the discovery. You will not, however, find any remnants of this magnificent finding on the beach today. The Great Blue Hole, Belize. Lying near the coast of Belize in Central America, there is a huge marine sinkhole known as the Great Blue Hole. It is present in the center of the Lighthouse Reef, which is a small atoll located 70 kilometers from the Belize city. The circular sinkhole is 124 meters deep and 318 meters wide. Researchers believe that it was formed as a result of Quaternary glaciation when the sea levels were lower. It has been estimated that the formation of the hole took place in different years, starting from about 153,000 years ago and ending about 15,000 years ago. The Great Blue Hole became famous after Jacques Cousteau, who was a renowned explorer, filmmaker, photographer, and sea researcher, declared it as one of the best sites for scuba diving. He carried out extensive research to find the depth of the hole and to understand its formation. Initially, the depth of the hole was measured to be 125 meters. However, in 1997, the depth was once again measured by the Cambrian Foundation, and at that time, it was measured to be 124 meters at its deepest point. Researchers believe that this difference in measurement can be a result of the ongoing sedimentation. At the end of 2018, researchers descended 2 submarines into the Great Blue Hole in order to map the interior. They used sonar scanning and completed 3D mapping of the hole. But what do you make of these recent underwater discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.